good? What's going on? Masculine Post here. Welcome to the channel. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Show your love so we can get the word out. Okay, let's talk about this. Judgment Day for men. Judgment Day. We all have an expiration date, unfortunately. I know most of us feel, we have all that power and that zeal for life, but we have an expiration date. Our time does come to an end. And that's why I got this channel to remind men of their position and inspire them somewhat. A call to action. So, if I was about to come to expiration, if I was about to pass, will I be proud of the person I conducted myself to be online? And I say that online on purpose because we have a lot of back and forth. We have, yes, I know, the culture, the female culture, especially the public image, is just in disarray. They're out of order. But that does not get to justify our behavior. That does not get to excuse our behavior. That does not get to dilute our part in the whole mess. And this is what I'm talking about today. Judgment Day for men. If you are to be quizzed, how did you spend your time? And then you say, well, I did that. I had to argue with her because she was really terrible. You're like, why? You're a man, right? Where's your sense of leadership? Your job here on this planet, on this earth, is not to battle. If you cannot find a helpmeet, you walk alone. How many, whether it's prophets or many wise men walked alone? So as men, I want to inspire us to some extent, if I can. I realize that very few people would digest this message for what it is and see for what it is and further take action on it, um, and be what they can be, and to be what you should be sometimes. And then sometimes, most of the times, it's always going to be uncomfortable. I just said, yeah, it's most of the times it's going to be uncomfortable. To be what you really ought to be is going to be uncomfortable. We have a culture of men arguing with women, and rightfully so, because I think that it's good that men have a voice, to counter the voice of women that's been going on for a long time. Deadbeat father, men are not involved in children's lives. Men, old dogs, they impregnate, and we know that the stats don't favor those narratives, and I'm glad that men are speaking up. But now, when we draw it back to the individual, you as an individual, you as a man, when your life is about to reach that finite point, do you not want to know that you did something to counter the culture on your own, and then you are responsible for somebody following you? Let's say two individuals, let's say a nephew or your son. And that's the point I'm talking about. I believe that men should draw the line in the sand. I say, I see that there's wretchedness in the society. I see that there's thuggery and thoughts going on around. But me responding to each and every content of Nicki Minaj or Cardi B and is counterproductive to my Judgment Day testimony. We have to respond accordingly. We have to have a testimony and say, look, I had waves of things coming at me. I had a whole bunch of waves coming at me, but I rejected it because part of manhood is the capacity to control our emotions and not just be in our feelings and our emotions. Far too many, and I don't blame them, because I know that when a subject matter pops up, all the content creators run towards it to get that piece of the pie. I get it. It's now a business. But and that's the danger of it to some extent. But the part about I want to bring is, you as an individual, you have a finite point. How are you going to represent your life? You cannot spend your days fighting women. You cannot spend your days pointing fingers. You cannot spend your days looking at the dysfunctionality of your childhood. We've all have had dysfunctionality going on in our lives. So we don't get to use that as a basis for our how we got to where we got to. Now, forgive me if I'm speaking to somebody who's done everything they can do, and you're like at the end saying, no, I've made the best decisions and everything else. Then you're excused from this conversation. But I've noticed that men talk about bad behavior, BBLs being a bad thing, but they participate in it. They encourage those women in the DMs. and the likes. So we have a very surface character. The character I'm talking about is the one where you get to be judged. Like, okay, how did you do use your time? You can't lie no more. You can't be like hiding behind a persona, like our brother Doctor you know, Doctor Uma, who likes to speak on certain subject matters and he counters himself. Okay, so my point is that men have to be solid constantly, regardless of what state the condition of the community is. Because if we have that type of man that's solid, he's living for the higher power, the Most High, and himself. And if he has, help me, it's no longer about pointing fingers at anybody. I understand we can make commentary on female behavior and the rap music and the ratchet, like all of that stuff. It adds up, yes, but we have to operate with the vision of I am not eternal. I'm going to get to a certain point. The judgment day of questions is just, what did you do with your time? Now I know it's heavy to say that judgment day, however you want to take it, but my point is that you got to live for what you live for. You can say about the black community was in chaos, but women were out of order. I might as well say, who cares? Who cares that the black woman was out of order or the community was out of order? Who cares? Like, what did you do with what you had? You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I need y'all to be accountable for your behavior, for your time, because your happiness is not going to be based on, oh, I had to become a pastor, bro. Okay, that's not important. Are you holding integrity down? Are you passing down the those lessons of integrity to your son or your brother or your cousin or your environment or your community to the best of your capacity? Because I believe we can deflect a whole lot as men as well. You know, I believe that if we draw the sand and says, okay, here on this side belongs all the righteous men. Here on this side, whatever ratchet behavior you want to have on that black side. Like, I'm not trying to separate two black communities, but there are communities within communities that those people want to live good, take care of themselves, and those people want to just point fingers and wear weaves and whatever. So I believe we could draw a line on the sand. Men that want to live righteously, that want to have helpmates that are righteous and live in a way that's meaningful, because our time is not forever. I don't have forever to teach on anything. I don't got forever. At some point, you may hear, oh, the man, he was hit by a car, or he got sick, he died in his sleep. So this word, I know it's long. I know it seems meaningless, but I want to bring this word to you because it's very important. When that judgment day hits in your head, when you have no more days in front of you, don't find yourself that you spent your days arguing with women, responding to popular culture, moving reactively, I should say, instead of defining where you're going and extracting and removing the things that you don't want as part of your character trait. Deleting instead of accentuating, oh, that woman has got, baby, she got long nails. These people just wasting your time. So when judgment day comes, you cannot blame women as men. Yes, we speak on women because we want our community to be in order, but we draw the sand. We do a line in the sand. We say, okay, here belongs where there's 5 men. Philip, John, whoever the name, Mike. This belongs to righteous men. Your righteous behavior can be on the other side. If men start to do that, and then when those 5 men who have drawn the line in the sand draw another person, within that they can have a business, a musician, an athlete. And they can do their very crafts that we do publicly for the master, do it for the greater good of the community, and they'll be done in righteousness. I know I'm talking crazy. I know. So now those crafts are being under our control, not under the image of, because right now, whatever is basketball is done under the image of whoever set it up. And trust and believe it's not us. Same thing with dress code. We get to own. If those 5 men who've drawn that line in the sand says, on this side stands righteous men want to live a certain way. Anybody who comes to this side has to be vetted, crossed, and everything else. And if you don't belong here, you're gonna go back to the ratchet world. And when those men are judged, they're like, hey, I did the best I could. I was not pointing fingers. I commented on the culture, but I did not live like they did. But I also kept the vision of what I'm supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to just spend your days pointing fingers, reacting to, even if you're getting paid to react to the content the word is putting forth. But what benefit is that in a finite point where you have no more life left? I get it that we all gotta eat. I get it. But if you are then just spending your days on that, what is that to you long term? What does that mean? But if you have a character that influences others, that draws the line and rejects everything, will reject the P. Diddy's, reject the Tupacs, reject the couch, all the musicians that have been responsible for breaking down the culture to such an extent where we're deemed as, you know, thugs, reject it and leave a certain code of, okay, this is the vision, this is the character, and everything else. You cannot regret anything after that. And in turn, as people see your light, they're going to be drawn to that light, and only those who are good can increase to the community on the other side of the line, and the rest can remain. And this is about being unafraid to be alone. Trust me, this group will be very small. It'll be against the majority. But we don't need to get up and say, we're righteous, we good, whatever. This is not about that. It's about just doing that when judgment day comes. We actually got clean conscience saying, hey, I did everything. I commented on the community, tried to help the community. I did everything I could. I tried to help brothers out. I was not trying to diss, knock, roast. We can't do that. This is for the few. I get it. It's for the few. That word was heavy on my heart. I believe that. And the same thing for any woman that has that burden to do that. Because then we have this line drawn in the sand. You got some men who are righteous and women who are righteous. Guess what? That group will have power eventually, as long as they're consistent to the vision, not necessarily commenting, look what they're doing over there. Look what they're doing over there. What's that to you? They've been doing that for the longest time. That culture is hijacked and manipulated by somebody else. We got to control the narrative. We won't do that by trying to convince everybody. Just a few people draw the line in the sand, because they know that when that judgment day come for the men, they'll be like, you know what? I did all I could. I did all I could. Not like, oh, well, the chick, she made me do that. That then means that men, y'all gotta not impregnate women just because she's got that big booty. You gotta avoid. You have to have dick discipline. It's all well and good to say, oh, the culture is broken, she's ratchet, but y'all the one impregnating the women. You cannot deal. You cannot shower these women with praises for ratchet behavior. You cannot shower these women with praises for ratchet behavior. We cannot esteem men like Dr. Umar Johnson, who has not proven himself in any way. I'm not hating on the brother, you know? Like, I believe he meant well to begin with, but I think he just got caught up in the hoorah. Now he's some type of celebrity. But we cannot esteem individuals. Individuals need to be genuinely real. Results are what count. So we got to define who, because we can't have this default heroes of the community because, you know, he's a prominent member of society. No, we got to have real people, not celebrities, which are plants who are just literally just on the DL. Literally, they're part of the initiation for them to be celebrities is to be done, to be molested, to be sodomized, I should say. So when we start to define that and reject those, okay, I know, you know, it's not easy. You know, we love basketball, we love music, musicians, but can we not recreate that somehow? Can we not, like, is not everything from somewhere? A tree comes from a seed, don't it? They might be too much a visionary, you know what I mean? Like, but I do believe if you individuals create that, that's how you create like little private banks. If you individuals create that idea, don't impregnate the women that are ratchet. So they'll know I can mess with all of them and I can't mess with them. Don't buy certain records. Stream certain records. Don't watch certain movies. Only mess with certain sisters. Alright, I'm sure you get the picture. Peace, love, and blessings.